And we are live. Woo! Yes, it has been. I'm gonna let people come into the room. I'm gonna let them come into the room.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I don't do the countdown. My friend has a show where he does the countdown. 30. I got to get it together. I didn't want to use the generic one that comes with the stream. I wanted to use. I got to pay somebody, child, to do this social media.
I was gonna say, just hire someone to edit because it's gosh. Like I enjoy editing everything myself, but not a lot of people are fans of that, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hi, Dave. It has been. I know I've been gone. Dave is in the combos crew. Those are my regulars. It has been a while. Hi, Greg. How are you? Good to see you. I see him all the time on social media, but he's a regular too. So great to see everybody. Hi, Sue. Yeah, Convos is back. Woo!
Yeah.
I know it's been a minute, and I missed everybody. I have to tell you, I was so after. I think the last show I did was Minnesota Opera. They were premiering their virtual gala, and it was a piece called "Art is a Verb," and we had the cast together the day before it premiered, and I was worn down. I said, "Listen, I don't know when I'm coming back, y'all, but I'll be back."
It's good to take a break, though. Oh my gosh.
Yes, good. I'm feeling better. You know, Sopranos are something else. Yes. Okay, now, hey Kim. Oh, Kenny, about time you wrote my damn show. Listen, hi.
I love when you get harassed by people. Like when they're like, finally. Where you been? Where you been? Hey, Jared. Oh.
Hey, Jared. Yes. Hi, Martin. Wow, my sweet friend from Scotland. Well,
oh wow. What time is it in Scotland?
Hi,
Cammy.
Martin always shows up. He rewatches the old episodes and everything. So it's amazing.
Is it over there? It's probably like what? 11, 12?
Something like that. Yes. So I have missed you all so much. So much is happening. So much is going on. So much new music. So many new associations are happening. And Kenny.
I'm choosing violence today.
My God. Kenny is, Martin says it's 105.
Oh, dang. Wow.
Yes. Hi, Inman. Good to see you. Thank you. Yes, I know.
Oh, Jared.
No, I'm so happy. I missed you all. I missed this show. This so much. I was going back looking at old videos, and we are about to have our year anniversary, our birthday convo.
When was it?
In April 23rd was the debut. So we're about to have our 1 year. So I gotta figure that out. See, that's why I gotta get a producer child to get all this stuff together. Mm-hmm. No, but anyway, I was just sitting around thinking, I said, now who is gonna be my first guest back after a 5-week hiatus? And the only person that come to my mind that hadn't already been on the show, and I wanted another sister, a fellow sister. I wanted someone who was also a content creator, and someone who I admire immensely. I got to meet this young woman through, as everybody knows, that Joel Ivany asked me to be a co-director for the Banff Center's opera program this year, along with my dear colleague Ian Cusin. And there was this incredible young lady who I think is brilliant. A brilliant creature. I said, oh my God, who is this person? Who is this person? And I got to know Khadija through many conversations with her about what kind of art you wanted to make, and we are kindred spirits. Like we immediately hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just was like, I need my people to know your people. To know you. I'm going to read a little bit about Khadija, and I'm going to let you talk about yourself. Khadija is a Gambian Canadian American performer, a charismatic, dynamic singer, educator, writer, and all-around creative. They studied and performed several styles of music, including jazz, opera, musical theater, and many contemporary works that you wrote your own by yourself, huh?
I mean, I wrote my own songs. I wasn't composing
Oh, okay. Well, you've been seen as Flora in Traviata, and also paying tribute to jazz and Billie Holiday with the Toronto Concert Orchestra, and working with established artists like Angel Blue and her Next Generation recital. Yay, Angel. We love Angel. Yes, they are also a content creator using their voice and social media platforms to entertain and educate whenever they can. Writing, filming, producing, editing, and starring in her own projects on a weekly basis. Their growing YouTube channel has over 5 million views and counting. Yes, ma'am. And one of your videos I want to talk about has almost 1 million views.
Yes.
Video. Yes, Khadija is also an advocate for equity and inclusion, yes, ma'am, in all aspects of the performing arts, and has collaborated with many artists on organizing events and creating performance opportunities for singers and instrumentalists alike. From forming their own artist collective in Calgary to helping create the Celebration of Black Arts recital at the University of Toronto. Listen, I want to stop talking. I'm gonna let you stop talking, but I want to introduce you to my family, the Convos crew, Khadija Mbowe. Welcome. Woo!
Thank you.
Yes, and normally we cheers.
Yes. Oh, I wish I had wine. I only have sparkling water.
Boo. All right, that's okay.
Ooh.
Welcome. Now, I have to first start by saying I apologize for saying she, and I want you to talk about that, because that is a whole other part of all of our transformations, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but we don't.
You know what's funny about it is, like, when I'm around Black women, I never feel like weird if a Black woman says she or is like girl, because there's like a different kind of tone. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's like a different kind of understanding. Like, there's so many Black girls that I don't know that I'll see that'll comment on things and I'm like, thanks, sis. Like, there's just like this like camaraderie there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, but yeah, it's something I've been reading a lot just about gender, reading about gender binary, and kind of coming to my own realizations about what it means to be a woman, or she, her, what it means to use those pronouns. And in my mind, the more I read about it, the more I'm like, we just made all this stuff up and socialized ourselves. And now we really are like so attached to these labels that we like have to like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, and it's created terrible policies. It's caused discrimination. Like, it's all of these things. So like, I'm trying to, for my own personal self, undo some of that. And I love being a femme, they, them, because I'm just like, yes, like, I'm a very feminine person. I love being all whatever even feminine means is what I like to say is my vibe. So I never get offended if people say she or her, because I know that like, this is a recent development in my life and it's something I'm still like understanding and navigating. But I was like trying to like really be diligent about putting they, them, and everything else that I do, so that people who don't know me will address me that way, you know? And obviously what comes with that, and I've addressed this in a video before, is that there's a lot of gender privilege, because no one's ever assumed a gender, like the way I was socialized as girl. So no one's ever assumed that I was not, you know? Well, sometimes, most times not. Whereas if you're a trans woman and you're fighting to be labeled a woman, and people are coming in like gender's a construct, it can kind of be a little like, yeah, I know, but still call me her, damn. So, you know, so I try to acknowledge that there's gender privilege there, and me being able to be like, yeah, them, but at the same time, or to even say gender's a construct. But yeah, I don't know, in reading about gender, reading feminist theory and trans theory, it's just kind of like, okay, so we really just, this, yeah, this really doesn't matter. Like, call me she, her, I guess. Call me they, them mostly, you know, like it's very like, I'm Khadija, if anything.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so I know you're originally from Atlanta.
Yes.
So how did you get to Canada?
So I got to Canada because my parents were born and raised in Gambia, and like they had traveled a bit and then came here. But I have older siblings that were born in Gambia, and I was like the first one of my siblings born out in America. And like my two younger ones were born in America too. So they could not get citizenship in the States. Like my dad went to school there. He went to Clark Atlanta.
Okay.
Hello.
HBCU,
yes, he got his master's there. And he was working at Domino's while he was there. My mom and my aunt used to work at the Frito-Lay factory and like a few other places. Yes. My mom used to own a couple of salons in Georgia too, some hair salons. But yeah, they couldn't get citizenship. It was really hard. So my dad, I remember one day he was talking to me, this was when I was really young, and he was like, you know, what do you think about Canada? And I was like, what? And then he was like, where would you ever live in Canada? And I was just like, Alberta? I don't know. That was the only province I could think of because I was like, I don't know provinces. What?
Right.
And then, yeah, we ended up, my dad went first and he got a job there, was able to like get permanent residency pretty quickly. So he was able to file for me and my younger siblings. And then eventually my mom and like my older sister came in. And so it just was like, it was like both of my parents are Canadian citizens now. Having spent less time. They lived in the States for 17 years and they weren't citizens.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Well, and that was the worry because they were like, if I go back to Gambia, is something going to happen where I can't come back into the country? That was always their worry. Whereas now they go, my parents go back and forth. My mom's in Gambia right now. My dad's here. They just like switch back and forth. But yeah, that's how we ended up there. Here.
Here. On lockdown.
Don't get me started.
I won't.
On this.
I won't. So how did you, I want to talk about breaking up with opera, but I do want you to talk about, there's a fabulous, if you guys have not seen Khadija's YouTube channel, please go and subscribe and check out her YouTube channel. She has some brilliant commentary, and I have a couple of my favorite episodes that I would love to talk to you about, but I want to know how you found music.
Honestly, by accident. Listen, when we first were like growing up in Georgia, we weren't living in the best areas. And so I needed some stuff to do after school that was free, and choir was it. So I just kind of did it. And I did it throughout middle school as well. But it wasn't until I moved to Canada and there wasn't a choir that I could join that I realized how much I actually missed singing. So I would be really annoying and print off song lyric sheets. And my dad would get so mad because I'd be wasting printer ink. Like he was like, oh my God, what are you doing? I just like come home every day, sing in the bathroom for like an hour and a half. I'd sing every song under the sun. And my dad was like, oh my God. Like he was just not about it. But then I auditioned for a performing arts high school and I was debating between doing acting or singing. And at the last minute, I switched to singing. And that was when I got more serious about it because it was like we got to travel a lot. It was like a pretty like prestigious choir in Calgary. So yeah, we got to travel a lot. We got to do a lot of performances. I got to do vocal jazz. And so I was like, ooh, I'm gonna be a jazz singer. Like this is fun. Oh my God. So that's kind of like where my love of singing developed, like in high school especially.
Wow. And so so you went from singing jazz, did you grow up singing any other like gospel music, like so many African American?
No, I'm like the only person in my family. Like my older brother did have a bit of a rap phase when we were living in Atlanta. Mo Black.
That was the group.
I am roasting him. It's actually not terrible music, actually. Like I was like, okay, this is kind of a beat. It's interesting. But yeah, apart from him, I'm the only person in my family that's ever like in my immediate family that does music stuff. Because I grew up Muslim. So my dad is not like, he was growing up, he was like, no, singing, no, music, no. Like my dad does not listen to music, and my mom does, but she was just kind of like, eh. So it was I I didn't grow up with any specific styles. I mostly grew up just singing choral music, and then in high school singing more jazz and writing my own songs when I was like 16 to like 23, because I was like, oh yes, I have so many things to say. I'm so angsty.
Yeah.
I still remember the first song I wrote. I think it was called Fireworks.
Oh god.
This is before Katy Perry, okay?
I think we all remember our first song. My song was like Puppy Love. I mean, I don't know. It's so stupid. Like,
do you remember the melody?
I'm not singing it here. No, it's a mess. It's a mess. Anyway. Oh my god. It was very 80s, very late 80s. Bum 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 bum. It was one of those like bum 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 bum, something like that. Anyway, I'm not saying a mess. But so okay, so you sing jazz and you're doing choral music, and how the hell did you like even find opera?
So I didn't find opera. It found me through a teacher. Because I was like, my mom finally got me into voice lessons when I was like 17. And I went and sung for this lady. I had to like audition for this voice teacher. And I was like, I'm in like a fine arts. There's only like 10 girls in my grade. Like, okay, I'm ready. So I like went and did it. And she was like, okay, I'd like to take you on as a student. And so as we were doing these lessons, she was like, have you ever thought about singing classical music? And I was like, no. And she played me a video of Jesse Norman. And I was like, what? I didn't even know Black people did this. So then I kind of became obsessed with Jesse and like other Black singers, but I still wasn't serious about singing classical music. And I didn't take lessons long enough. Like I took those lessons for probably like 3 or 4 months. And then I stopped taking lessons. And then because they were expensive. And then I just took lessons on and off from like the age of 17 to like 21, 22, or 20, I'd say 2021. And then I took a couple of years off of singing in general. I just would do gigs here and there, but I wouldn't really sing seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And
why?
Then,
why?
Right?
Why did you take time off?
Oh, we about to get into it. Okay.
I mean,
no. This is okay. This is okay. It's more embarrassing than anything else. So a joke that my friends like to make about me is that I was a Gambian pop star. That's like a thing that they really like to roast me about. They're like, oh, when you were a pop star in Gambia? And I'm like, leave me alone. So when I was 18, I went and I recorded a bunch of songs that I had written, and they were just one-offs. Like I wasn't even really serious about it. I was just like, oh, I can go to a studio and record. This is fine. And then my mom had this idea of making an album, and she was like, you should do an album, and like got really helicopter mom about it. So her and my brother were like micromanaging me, doing way too much. And I was like, oh my God, I never want to sing again. And like the following year, when I did the album, I was like half-hearted into it because like some of the songs were good and I liked them, but for the most part, I was like, I didn't make these songs for them to become an album. Okay. And like, I wasn't even sure of who I was. I was like trying to be like a 2012 pop star, whatever we were doing back in 2012. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it was just not cute. I wasn't proud of any of the stuff that I put out, really. Like some of it I was, but most of it I was kind of like, So I just was really embarrassed, and I was just so annoyed about being micromanaged about everything. I was like, oh my God, if this is what it means to be a singer, then I don't want to do it, because I don't want like my mom and my brother all up in my business. No. So I took a break. I was like, maybe I don't love it enough. And that's when I started going into sociology. You know, I was like, I should just dip in here. This might be better. I don't have to sing anymore. And then I moved to Toronto, and I was like, I miss singing.
It always comes and finds you. And the minute you're like doing this thing, it's like, nope, you got to come back.
So then I did, and I was like, okay, I'll audition for schools and we'll see. And I had remembered a voice teacher telling me that I should sing classical music. So I was like, okay, I'll get a voice teacher. I'll get a theory teacher. And I was already doing my sociology degree while I was doing this. So I was like working, going to school, and then taking voice lessons and theory lessons on the side. Mm-hmm. I cried a lot that year. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I'd be in the middle of lessons like, Why is everything so high?
Right.
Why do I gotta pay for everything?
Yes, students, he take everything you need because it's expensive to pay for it.
So expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I auditioned for a couple of jazz programs and like one classical one, and I didn't think I'd get into any of them. And I only got into the classical one, and I was like, this is interesting. This is different. And then I was like, all right, well, this is what I'm doing for the next 4 years. So let's see what happens. And then I graduated last year during the pandemic.
During a pandemic. I do remember. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Hey, Adam. Good to see you. Thank you. Chanel.
Oh, hey,
I don't know her, but now we know each other.
Soprano. That is, yes.
I'm okay. Sorry. Hey, Paula, my sister. How are you? Hi, Dan. Hi, Marlon. Good to see you, Maestro. Yeah. So you, okay. So there's so much to talk about.
I know.
Because you are quite a controversial content creator.
Am I?
You are, because as an opera singer, as opera trained singers, classically trained singers, very rarely do we ever get into the arena of speaking about social issues comfortably. Mm-hmm. And the older we are, the further away, the more successful we are, the further away you are from being able to align yourself with political, socially conscious issues. And you just jump right into the pool and start splashing people when you talk about, some of my favorite conversations that you have: angry Black woman, breaking up with opera, toxic masculinity, woman YN labels, the Bridgerton issue, colorism, and Orientalism. You have you really go in. And I remember when Joel was speaking about you when we were evaluating who was going to get into the program. He's like, oh no, Khadijah's like a whole thing. Like she's like a big deal in Canada, and she really because our program was about diversity and inclusion and really trying to be different for opera in America and opera in the 21st century, and you're not afraid to talk about race, sexuality, gender, all of those things. So I want to know where that woman came from. How was she born?
Oh, I don't know. I think born and bred is the thing. Because, I've been fortunate in my life to have, 3 parental figures. So, my dad is very humble, is very still and steady, and is very accepting of anyone. No matter what especially as he's gotten older, which is so different. As he's gotten older, he's become more open-minded, more relaxed, and he's a very pious man. He doesn't miss prayers. He doesn't play around with, Ramadan comes, he's fat. He does not play, but he is very I am not the creator. I have no room to judge any of God's creations. It's not my place. This is who people are. This is how you are. You accept. And that's what his father was like, Yeah. My mom has been very hardworking her whole life. My mom has always worked 2 or 3 jobs, and anything she wants, she gets, which is good and bad sometimes. Sometimes you're like, yeah. And my aunt, who passed away a couple of years ago and who was like a mom to me, she was the kind of person that just, so many kids would be in and out of her house all the time. And she taught me how to read and write. And she was a teacher. She taught everyone. And she was just so generous to people. She was so, oh my gosh, nobody on the planet, I don't know who would have a bad thing to say about Madan Jallo. I don't know anybody who would be dumb enough to say something bad about her. So having those kind of influences in my life, I think, is part of it. And then I also think I just went through a lot of shit growing up. If we're going to say it how it is, I was bullied a lot growing up for how dark I was, for just how I looked. And it really made me feel bad. And I really hated making other people feel bad or seeing other people bully others. Like, I do not like it because I know what it felt like to feel that way for years. Like, it wasn't just a couple of years I was bullied. It was like kindergarten to like grade 9. Mm-hmm. So I like had to deal with that. And another thing is therapy is another thing that helped forge me. My therapist is a Black woman. She's phenomenal, helps me out a lot. Meditation. And I don't know, I think just getting older, I feel like when I turned 28, something kind of switched, and all the stuff that I had gone through, I was just sick of it. Like, when everything, you know, when you reach, there's like not even just a tipping point, it's a snap. Mm-hmm. Some people talk about it like a feminist snap or something. Mm-hmm. I just had like a snap for everything. And I was like, this is bullshit and I don't care anymore. And I used to be a bit like, I wouldn't be the kind of person that would say a bunch of stuff on the internet before. Right. Like, I'd say funny stuff and I'd be kind of chill, but I also thought, oh, I want a career as an opera singer. I don't want to say too much. Mm-hmm. But I was always still saying things. I was always still addressing things. I just was trying to be a bit more quiet. Like, I would bring up the point that when I was at U of T, University of Toronto, in my second year, I looked around and I was like, am I the only Black woman around here? And it really got to me. So I was like, we need to do something about this. So I went to the head of the voice department. And I was like, y'all don't have any Black people on faculty. You don't bring in any Black clinicians in the 2 years I've been here. What can we do about it? Mm-hmm. And she was more receptive to it and was like, all right, fair enough. Yeah, right. We don't. I was like, all right, thank you. I'm glad. See, like, you know, mm-hmm. But I don't know. I've always just kind of been, in a sense, someone that is bold, I guess. There have been times more so than others, but I think especially as I've gotten older and just realized how short life is, how much I want to have fun and enjoy and want other people to feel good around me if they interact with me and just feel good in general. Like, because people aren't going to remember everything you do or say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Yes. I really, really take that seriously. So to me, the reason that I'm not afraid to talk about these things is because I'm like, we can all see it. Why are we not saying it? Like, I just don't. Part of it is I don't have a filter. And my mom in Wolof, she'd say nyakajum, which is you lack shame. Like, you just lack shame. Because I'm just like, this is how it is. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I feel like I was a roundabout way of answering that.
No, that was beautiful. You know, and especially with our parents, like, they forget that we came through them. So they are a part of us. They created us. Mm-hmm. So the thing that they're always like, and I'm like, you do know I got it honest. You do know.
So ma'am, no mirrors? That's okay.
Absolutely. I want you to speak briefly to, you know, because we are in this time now where, of course, generationally, there's a lot of division on social media and things like that. You know, there's an idea of like the younger generation feels like, oh, you guys aren't doing the work and all these things are happening because you guys didn't do this, you didn't fight for this or whatever. And, you know, there's a lot of noise surrounded around. And I want to talk about advocacy versus activism as well. I want to hear your opinion about that. But I think that, you know, oftentimes, sometimes, and I'm not older, but in my generation, the approach is not always the same. And so I think that what you're speaking about, when you go to someone and you say, I would think that this should be better, or I would need to, or you're advocating for something that of course, no one else around you is even aware that not having the presence. They say they want diversity, but then they look around and it's like no one's actively trying to get it. But I wonder, when you go into spaces and you ask for things or you highlight things, is there a way that you speak? I'm not policing yourself, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's interesting because I think the more people know me, the more like what I do precedes me. And so, I know that I'm a kind of person that, for the most part, I'm a Taurus. It takes.
Oh, yes. My mother was a Taurus, so I know.
Listen, yes, stubborn, yes, fun. But we are chill. Okay, we're chill. We're stable until you try it. Yeah, don't try it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I am a very like, okay, I will not just pop off out of nowhere. That's not my style. But if somebody has pushed me, yes, you will see a side of me that you will be shocked by and you don't like. But I try not to. That's not what I lead with. Because my whole thing, especially as I've gotten older, my mantra now is the thing you're teaching someone, you once had to learn. Mm-hmm. So, and learning can be very vulnerable. Mm-hmm. It's and one of my favorite things that I've processed is that just because you're being vulnerable with someone and you're sharing something vulnerable doesn't mean that it's also not vulnerable for the person receiving it.
Right.
So when I'm thinking about talking to people, especially like older people or anything like that, my approach now has been, and this is from my dad, you know, you just have to meet people where they're at and do your best to give them the space and grace to try and understand, to mess up. Because I would much rather somebody say the wrong thing in front of me than not say anything at all and keep trying to police their mouth. Like, I'm just like, when I started school, because I saw so many white people around, I was just like, listen, I'm gonna have a lot of white friends. And anytime I started talking to people, I was like, we need to be able to talk about race. Like, I'm Black, you're white. And I might be one of your first Black friends or one of your only. So any close white friends that I have, I'm just like, if I can't say, come collect your people, what's going on? Like, if I can't say something like that and they can't be honest to me, like my white friends will be like, Khadija, you need more Black friends because we can't do this. We can only do so much. We can't relate as much. And I'm like, thank you. You know, like we have to be able to talk comfortably like that, to acknowledge the differences that we have, but not let it completely separate us.
Right. You know, you said something in, I think it was the Angry Black Woman video. And I know I keep going back to that because I really want to discuss that.
Yes.
Because there is just such a nuanced conversation. And you hit on the idea, of course, of the tropes, the mammy tropes, and you hit on the idea of, like, you know, Michelle Obama's dealings with Angry Black Women, but you also dealt with the fact that, you know, media and people around you, and like, if you don't have people around you who don't look like you, it's a problem. And you know, and it was something that, well, oh my God, there's so many things, but I really, you know, there's another this conversation around fat shaming and body shaming that's going on in our industry right now. But you're not, I don't know if you noticed, but because you're not on Facebook, there was something that happened. But anyway,
I saw some stuff on Instagram.
Right. And it was and it linked me to that, the Angry Black Woman conversation linked me. It was so many things in that related to the pushback that people are getting about speaking up about their shaming. And so please speak about the concept of the Angry Black Woman.
So when I made that video, I had just finished reading a book by Dr. Mark Brackett. He is the director of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, which I was like, Yale has okay, come on, Yale. But he created this book. And at first I had listened to a podcast episode with him and Brene Brown, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I kind of honestly, truly, I was like, I don't know what to do a video on this week. And then I was like reading this book and I was like, oh, because he started talking about display rules. And it's the way that we dictate how and in whose presence we express our emotions. It's the way society kind of dictates that. And then I was like, oh, this feels like the way I've always felt about not being able to be angry, because lest I be deemed an angry Black woman. And before I even finished the page, he's talking about how Black mothers will tell their children to measure themselves because they're afraid of what'll happen if their kids are too angry or express too much emotion. And so the thing that I think about with all these people getting so upset about the idea that somebody could tell them, you shamed me or you did this, people will call everyone snowflakes. People will say everyone's too sensitive nowadays. And I'm like, no, most of us are going to therapy and understand that the stuff we went through was actually. One. Two, people really, really like to deny how emotional they are. It's something I've observed because I'm a very emotional, sensitive person, and it took me a while to accept that label. And now I wear it like a badge of honor. But people really have a hard time saying, I am feeling emotional by this conversation. I'm feeling emotional about the way that I've been attacked, or I have, and the guilt that they feel for that, right? So I come to you and I say, you made me feel shitty in an audition. You were terrible to me. You made me feel horrible about my body. And instead of hearing what I'm saying, you're thinking the defense goes up, because a lot of us like to think that we're better people than we actually are. And so the minute somebody turns around and says, you did this to me, you made me feel bad, blah, 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 blah. I obviously think that there's a better way to talk to people than pointing and saying you did this. But at the same time, if they said something bad to you, they said something bad to you. So if people are doing that to you, people that don't accept themselves as they are, or accept, hey, I might not be as good as I think, immediately go into defense mode and go into, y'all are too sensitive. This is not a thing. If you just weren't talented enough, that's what it is. Stop using the fact that people said you were fat to say that that's why you didn't get the job. You just didn't have the talent. And it's like, maybe, but there's also this idea we're really binary thinking. And I don't understand that, because you can hold two things at the same time. It can be, maybe I wasn't good enough vocally at the time, but also maybe you also saw that I was fat and used that against me as well to justify not only not hiring me. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And, and I'm so glad you mentioned that. There's been a lot of conversations, like I said, not a lot of conversations, but, as this article came out and as people are making comments about it, and this idea about exceptionalism, and the idea that many people have private conversations that they're not allowed to have in public because they are holding their space, right? They're holding they know that if they speak out, it could very well mean that they're not going to have their thing anymore, their career, whatever. But the idea of that, the exceptional Negro, the exceptional lesbian or gay person, the exceptional fat person, you have to be so good, and people go, well, you just have to be good, and it's like, yeah, but that's problematic.
It's because they don't want to admit their own biases. Everybody has implicit bias. Stop it. Shut up. Like, I'm sorry. This sounds rude, but whenever I hear people say, like, there are a few things that get me immediately irritated, but one of them is people that aren't willing to admit that there's an implicit bias. Like, I just honestly sometimes, and I'm gonna curse, just want to be like, shut the fuck up. Because honestly, truly, you can't live in this world unless you've lived in a cave, in a rock, somewhere, and never been exposed to anyone. Like, are we talking about Plato's allegory of the cave? Like, what? No, you have been around people. Therefore, and you've been around media, because media is everywhere. It's not just watching the news. It's not just watching TV shows. It is billboards, posters. It is everything you see is media. So if you have consumed all of that stuff, you have unconsciously consumed biases, because there's power in representation of being able to see yourself in the world, right? But there's power in representation in being the person who can mark, identify, and dictate. There's power in that, in being able to represent people, to say, this is how Black women are. This is how fat bodies are. There's power in being able to do that. So you can't sit here and say that there is no chance in hell that your bias isn't affecting the way you're looking at someone. And I think if more people felt comfortable, if they're having a panel of auditions, to sit and say, okay, I didn't like this person's voice, but let me examine. Is it because I think of their body, or is it because I actually just didn't like their voice? Like, I use this example. I was watching a TV show, and one of the characters at the beginning was kind of annoying me. Like, they're one of my favorites now, but at the beginning I was kind of annoyed, and I was like, I don't know why I don't like this character. And my sister and I were on the phone, and I was like, okay, but I actually have to stop and think, am I just being fat phobic? And she was like, oh my God, me too. I thought the same thing. But then I realized I actually just didn't like the way they spoke. And I was like, okay, fair enough. But you know what? We both had to be, and that was a safe space because that's my sister. But we both had to just be honest. And sometimes somebody is just waiting for one person to take the lead and say, I think I might be being fat phobic, and I'm not gonna lie to you. But everyone's so scared to say that because they think they're gonna get quote unquote canceled. And it's like, people are actually going to be more forgiving of you if you just admit that you don't know anything and that you're figuring it out. Like my videos, every time I talk, I'm just like, listen, y'all, we're in the Matrix. This is a simulation. But on the off chance it isn't, what do you think? I just learned this week. What do y'all think? I don't know. And then if people correct me, I'm so much less defensive because I'll be like, hey, it was brought to my attention this. Sorry, y'all. It was brought, like, I don't understand why people get so angry about apologizing to people. Like, why are your egos so invested? If somebody tells me I hurt their feelings, I will let you be offended by what you want to be offended by and say, hey, I apologize. That wasn't my intention.
Absolutely.
What does it hurt me to just apologize if I hurt someone's feelings?
No, it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, you know.
It's literally free. Like, what? People just stress me out sometimes. I'm like, and that's the other thing. I'm like, why did you choose to be stressed when you could just choose to say, you're right, I apologize?
Absolutely. And, you know, and that brings me to, well, yeah, exactly. You can just apologize. And, you know, I mean, that's multi-layered, that whole conversation that's happening. And I hope it doesn't just glaze over. I hope really we attack it the way we attack race this year, you know. And
we also have to understand that different colored people in fat bodies deal with different things. So don't just say fat bodies because people will assume you're talking about fat white people. And why are people so scared to say the word fat? Also, I don't.
Well, because there's so much negativity around that.
There is, but we have to start taking that power back. We're letting words control us. It's weird. You know?
Girl, you'd hit a nerve right there.
It's weird. I'm like, we're the ones who made it up. Let's just let's just figure something else out. Yes, they have a history and a meaning, but that changes over time so long as the people are willing to do that work to change it. If we're all too afraid to say it, it stays where it's at.
Do your work, people. Yeah. Oh my God. I want to talk about Bridgerton and why that video got almost 1 million views. Now, we already know that Bridgerton is a very successful, highly rated. Well, I can't say highly rated because I'm not sure, but amongst the fans, people are in the stand. They're like, you know, they stand for that. So, but your video on Bridgerton was not like 100%. Oh my God, I love it. So please talk a little bit to the audience about why that video got almost 1 million views.
I wish I could tell you. Usually at this point, I know when a video is going to do like at least well. Like I don't assume like millions of views, but I'm like, oh, it'll do well. Bridgerton, I did not expect because I was late. Like I watched the show late. I put the video out late and I didn't even think people were interested. I was just like, this title, I was like, Khadija, this title, queer baiting, race baiting, colorism, futurism. I was like, you're just being an asshole. So I put 5011 titles in it, like Usher Back and Burn. I put 5011 titles in it and I was like, all right, let's see what happens. And then when it started, like immediately people were watching it. I was like, what is it? Okay, thank you. Like I truly could not tell you why it got so popular because to me, I was literally just saying what I observed about the show.
And what did you observe?
Lots of colorism. There were hella light-skinned people in it. And that is the funny thing to me. Whenever people want to throw in representation, I'm like, y'all aren't slick. Y'all aren't slick. What are you doing? And I don't expect every Black person on the show is going to be as dark as I am. I know I'm on the darker side. I know. But like, come on. Like, can we, like, Karen, I don't think anybody was even your shade on that show, Karen. I don't think so.
We were in the back dancing and being a part of society.
There's this girl on YouTube named Ada on Demand. If you like my stuff, you would like her. She did, you remember, I don't know, it's this audio meme where it's like, and it's literally her trying to find a dark-skinned girl in Bridgerton, and she's just zooming in on the background. I laughed for 5 minutes because it was just so funny. But that's literally it. Bridgerton, I was like, okay, I get that y'all were wanting to be diverse. This is cute. But as I was watching the episodes, I was just like, not surprised because I was like, here we go again. You have a cast of Black people. We see a young Black girl that's supposed to be like in with the in crowd. And I was like, okay, finally, at least there's a Black girl that can be like a cute little love interest. Oh, wait, she's also hella light skinned. Oh, wait, she's pregnant the whole time and is like a Jezebel. Cute. Thanks for that. Like, you know, and to me, people were like, some people were upset, like, it's just a show. Me, watch something else. And people were recommending shows to me. And I was like, you think I haven't seen that? Do you really think I was going to come on here and talk about Bridgerton? Like, I haven't seen all the Black. We all know each other, okay? If there was a show with dark-skinned Black women running it or on it, I'm there. And people will be like, well, there's this show and this show. And I'm like, so think about it this way. You were able to list 5 shows. How many shows with white women as leads and love interests can you list? The list would be super long. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, y'all are saying this is an excuse now, but by the year 2050, being white in North America, especially in America, is going to be, you're going to be a minority. And you can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure that's the stat. So what are y'all going to say then? When we got nothing but Latinas and Latinos on television because they make up a majority of the population in the US. Are y'all going to be upset then? And talk about your representation? And look at and come to us like, oh, we get it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, people really like to act like representation isn't really that important. And I fully understand that, like, you can't depend on television and movies to like heal you and make you feel good about yourself. You know, but that's what I'm relying on it for. I like who I am. I have a great time. It's cute. Hi, I'm having fun. I'm just observing this because little Black girls out there are going to need a bit of that confidence. And the reason that I'm the way that I am is because I had to build myself up like this through a lot of therapy and a lot of hard work. I don't want another little girl that looks like me or feels like to feel the way I did and have to work 10 times as hard to build up her own confidence. I don't want that. So that's why I'm so adamant about it. It's not some frivolous thing of like, I just want to see girls that look like me kissing up on some white boy. Like, also, like, I'm not even straight, so no thanks. Except for Milo Ventimiglia. Like, oh, I did a Milo Ventimiglia appreciation post today because I was like, Milo! Oh, he is fine. He's fine.
Yes. Exactly. But you know, representation and equity can feel like oppression. And I know to other people, but you know, welcome to the club.
Like, why are y'all so upset?
Yeah. So talk about breaking up with opera, because I know I mentioned that several times in this conversation. But talk about that, what that meant, because I think that a lot of people are at that crossroads with whether or not they're going to continue with their careers for financial reasons, for social reasons, for lack of opportunity, lack of agency, you know, all of these things. So just talk a little bit about that video.
For me, I just felt like I was kind of scared to put it out because it's like the minute you say something, if you take it back, people are like, when you said at November 10th, 1984, 3 p.m. Like, I'm like, leave me alone. But sorry, I'm so... Do I need media training?
It's true though, yes.
But like, for me, the reason that I made that was because I was just sitting thinking, like, I had been in school for 6 years. 2 years was doing sociology and English. And then the 4 years I was doing music. And I didn't get into any master's programs or grad programs. And my initial plan was to spend the year, study voice, and then audition again for other stuff. And then the panorama happened and I was like, all right, never mind. So all of a sudden I had all this free time in this space and I remembered what it was like for pre-classical music Khadija, how creative I was, how much I love to just express myself through different creative mediums, how I love to make random projects and make random videos and do all the things. And all of a sudden I was able to do that again. And so when I made the Breaking Up with Opera video, I was just like, I loved this art form so much. And I really came to love it because initially I was just kind of like, whatever, but I came to love it because I thought it was so powerful. And I just love art. I love how visceral it is. There's nothing that you can say that compares to seeing someone just use their voice and their body over an orchestra. Like, that is something that is like, oh, I get chills thinking about it. It's incredible. But it's not me. And that's okay, because in school, they make you feel like if you decide to change your mind, or if you don't make opera your 100% priority, then you're never going to be able to succeed. When things can already be stacked against you, even if you do. Beyonce said it. You could do everything right and still fail. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I was doing that, I just was like, I love this art form. I know so many incredible singers. I just started teaching recently, doing sub-teaching, and I love it. Like, I love helping young kids just develop their voices. Like, I love that. And like, when I talk to you about the projects that I want to do, and I love doing that creative stuff, like that makes me light up. When I am about to go practice, see me chiamano Mimi, I'm like, somebody kill me, please, now, and swiftly. Like, and I love what it sounds like when I sing it, but to practice it, I don't. And I'm somebody that likes to work hard about stuff. And I'm a very determined person, to the point where I can trick myself into thinking I want to do something I don't really want to do. And what I've started to realize is life is short again. I'm not even 30, and I'm out here like, I'm ready to die, so I gotta hurry.
But you know what?
Around me.
No, but it's important for us to hear more voices like that. And I already know you're a hard worker. I know you are incredibly creative. I've been talking about you a lot lately, talking about your projects and things that, that we are doing together. And I'm trying to, anyway, that's for later. But, I love that you said that, because you have just freed someone from the shackles of being like, I love Puccini, I love Verdi, I love, doing all these things. And it doesn't make them less of an opera singer. It doesn't make them less of an artist. It actually empowers you to do the thing that you're supposed to be doing.
Yes. And you can still sing. Like, whoever lied to us and told us, if you decide to do other stuff, you'll never have a successful opera career, they lied. They lied to you. Because for me, I feel like I was so shady trying to like pitch myself as an opera singer on Bridgerton season 2 after I roasted them for like 30 minutes. Like, but if you want an opera singer, hey girl, like I was doing too much. But Shonda doesn't call me. But like, for me, I just think like, I know that I'm going to sing still, like I was talking with Angel the other day, and she was like, don't stop singing. Like, keep singing. And I was like, I will. Like, my schooling and the way I internalized that made me feel like I had a terrible voice. I'm not going to lie to you, but after I recovered and, thankfully have a great voice teacher and a great coach and all of these things, I just was like, yeah, this isn't my jam. This is something fun. And now that I have that training as another tool in my belt, oh yeah, it'll be great. I can pop in random places. Like it just helps me, but it's not all that I am. And I think people get so tied up. Eckhart Tolle, I think, says this. It's like, when you identify too closely with one thing, you kind of become it. And so for me, I am not an opera singer. I'm someone who expresses themselves through singing, And I say content creator and all this other stuff, but I express myself through content creation. I express myself through these avenues. I am not these things. I have no idea what I am. Existential crisis every other day. My brain hurts. It really does. Like, when I think about it too much, I'm like, but the only way that I can quell those fears is to really just understand that the way that I express myself is through these forms, these mediums. I will never fully know who Khadija is, but I know how I like to express myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you felt, because your career has been doing a fun little jig during this time. So have you felt like, I might take a little break, I'm a little tired, or no?
I am, but if I'm going to be 1,000% honest, I always feel like am I going to say the thing? Okay, I'm going to say the thing. So I am very, as I say, in my life, Switzerland, I am very in the middle. I sit comfortably in the middle of the boat, like not too far forward, not too far back, just kind of like in the middle. And I have spent my entire career in that situation where I've had great triumphs. I've had some losses, you know. I've sung in major houses. I've sung in smaller houses. I have, and everything in the middle, smaller houses. I don't like to say that, but you know, that's their scale. So, you know, large and small, big and small, whatever, major, minor, whatever, and and orchestras. And I work with whomever wants to work with me. And so I don't have a lot of the weight that comes with having a certain kind of career. So I have been able to navigate in a way that has served me in this time. Pivot is my entire career, you know, and not survival mode, but just being like, okay, that door's open close to me. Okay, I'm going to go and do this thing. I'm going to go where I'm loved. I'm going to go where I'm going to get the opportunity. I'm going to create my own opportunities. I'm going to do all of these things. That's why I gravitated to you so strongly, because you're a creative in a way that I learned how to be later on in my career. And so when everything shut down, I was like, okay, I'm going to create Kiki conversations, and I'm going to, you know, when I speak on these panels, I'm going to be intentional, and I'm going to use this. And I'm going to continue to say, I want to be a leader. I want to be a leader. I want to be putting that into the atmosphere, like at where other people who have not maybe had some of the trials that I've had in my career have not been able to pivot, have not been able to get themselves in a way. And so, that's sort of been a blessing that I didn't even know was going to happen. Now, listen, when the world opens back up, who the hell knows what's going to happen? Who the hell knows who's going to be front in line and who's going to go back, and are people going to go back, or are people going to leave, or whatever? But yeah, my cup runneth over. In this time period, and I have been fast track learning every new skill set that you know that and it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming.
I think for you, like, I don't know, just to like have these conversations, and also just like be on your platform, just being Karen. I think for a lot of younger singers, that means more than you might even know, because it's so hard for us to see singers that are just being themselves. Like, so many professional opera singers, I'm gonna just say it because I don't want to be at the Met singing in the young artist program, so I'm not worried about a job. So many young singers, or not young singers, so many professional opera singers feel like, especially, that they not only that they can't say anything, but they are very sanitized. You know, they're very, check this out. Oh, I get to sing at this opera house. It's so great. They know how to play the game. And you remember the movie Alien, where the alien pops out of the dude's stomach? That's how I feel if I act fake to something I don't like. If I'm talking to you and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot stand so-and-so. Like, I just don't. And so-and-so walks up, it will be shocking if I'm like, hey girl. I literally, my face will say it before my mouth does. I'm like, hey. Like, I just don't know how to do that. And so I feel like there's this interesting thing that a lot of professional singers have had to an extent, because I'm not going to fully blame them, they have had to do to have careers, but also have leaned into to keep their careers. And I'm like, the younger singers need your help. They don't have the power to wield. They don't have the power to be like, no, I don't want to do this. No, this is racist. What are y'all doing? No, what? No. Like, they don't have the power to say no, or to say these things, because they will never have a career if they do. They won't even get a start. Whereas if somebody has their career and their platform, you can take more risks. That's what I think. And for me, I didn't even have I had nothing in terms of opera, whatever, or even people knowing me. And I just took a risk, and it paid off for me. I'm not going to say that it's going to work for every single person, because I think there was luck involved with that. You know, I think it was chance. I think it was timing. It was a bunch of things. But I don't know. I just think when I look at some professional singers, most of them, honestly, I've unfollowed on Instagram, because I'm like, I don't have the energy for this. Yep, I said it. Yep. But I know this isn't Karen's thought. She's sipping the look at this isn't Karen's opinions. The opinions reflected by Khadija Mbowe have nothing to do with Kiki Conversations. This is slowly
disclaimer, but I'm going to defend my people just.
Go ahead, do it.
Tell me. Just a little bit. And I think that, in this time period, if the pandemic had not happened, if George Floyd had not happened, maybe no one would even care about Kiki Conversations at all. But, or my opinion, or thought that I was smart, or acknowledged anything that I contributed to this business when they had to sit and listen to it. It was like, oh shit, she is okay. Mm-hmm. She's an influencer, and I accept that. But like, I think that some singers want to be empowered to do the thing, but again, it's the system, right? Mm-hmm. It's the structure. It's who gets to write the checks. It is the presentation of how people feel like they have to be, although they may, and I'm sure artists, and that's not just opera, it's through the genres. It kills your soul if you can't speak what's on your heart, because you got to stay employed. And I think that yeah. Oh, Adam. Well, Adam knows me already. He knows we have great conversations anyway.
No, but that's, what it is. And I understand what you're saying too, because like, yeah, for me, I come in with a hot fire of like a 28-year-old who doesn't have a career in this being like, so I am aware of that. And I also am fully aware of the fact that I don't work for anyone technically. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like I work for my audience, but I don't work for anyone. Mm-hmm. So I'm not owed that, right. But that's because I know myself well enough to know that it couldn't be me. I couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. I just can't. Mm-hmm. Like I was like, these organizations are not doing what I want them to. Mm-hmm. So then me and a couple of my friends just started our own. And the audacity of that is wild to this day. We look at each other like, what is this? But so I do understand what you're saying, that some people, it's terrible because it's just like, okay, I literally will not have a check. Or, yeah, okay, Khadija, you can say that, but I have children to feed. Mm-hmm. And I got to do with this money. Mm-hmm. Like, I believe that. And I appreciate you saying that to me, because that's the other thing. We can lightly disagree on something, or you could be like, hey, did you think about this? And it's not any, you know what I mean? Like, it's just,
that's well, some people in your generation feel like, I'm a part of the man, but I say to them, don't look at what you think you see on social media as the thing. I have been for almost a damn near a year speaking my truth, and I think many of us feel that way. But again, don't judge somebody by just a career that, there's a great price to pay for this as well. Yeah. Now, I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about as you ascend to the heights, in many, many ways. And I wish for my industry, and I can't speak for any pop music or anything like that. And I'm sure, when you see Beyonce in a document, you can just see it in her eyes. You see
there's a pound of flesh that has to, for sure.
Absolutely. But, and I wish that we were able to speak and be loved and appreciated in the same way we speak about, oh my God, I'm making a debut here and I'm doing this and I'm, back for the 5th time singing in this house and this great international place, but in a way that you can speak and still be loved, speak about how hard it is and how difficult it is to be away from your family and missing your holidays and, being paid late, depending on what country you are, and doing a great job and still getting a sucky review that someone talks about you're fat or whatever that is. You know what I mean? There's a price to pay for all of these things. And I just, all we can hope for is grace from everyone and understanding in a way, but also the establishment allowing artists to be more honest, to be more transparent in a way and not hold up the mirror that everything is great. And I think that's what the pandemic has showed us, is that it's a clusterfuck of mismanagement, financially, irresponsible, casting, racism, sexism, all of these things that we mask in the glamour and the glitz and the gloriousness of who we are as classical musicians. And so I hope for my industry that artists have more agency and more support in the system.
That's the thing. It's you. So many people, you need permission to do the thing, you know? Like sometimes you just need permission because you spent your whole life being told how things are supposed to be.
Right.
So you just fit into that. All of us do it. I have done, every single one of us has done it. This is the first year. The reason that I'm probably so about it is because this is the first year that I've been given so much permission.
Right.
From so many people. And then I've given myself permission, you know?
Absolutely.
And so for me, on like a micro level, I just want younger singers especially to see what's happening and start to create their own stuff, you know, like, because I just think we're depending, and this is the other thing. So this is kind of me countering myself. Humans are walking contradictions, y'all, just so you know. But like, we are. So I'm thinking about it because you're giving me more to consider, right? So, and that's what a conversation is. Mm-hmm. So here I am thinking, okay, yeah, maybe I'm disappointed by some singers that are not speaking out more. Some people in higher positions because they're beholden to whatever and all this other stuff, signs, checks, all of that. Mm-hmm. What I just want then is, as the next generation comes in, that they feel like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to start making my own spaces and my own things because we can't depend on the Met to fix these problems.
Mm-hmm. They can't, they won't, and they don't want to.
They don't want to. And even if they did, let's say there are 10 people there that really want to, mm-hmm. they're probably not in the positions to do it.
Right.
Or they want to say stuff and they're doing stuff, but it's taking its toll on them. Or because this is work. People need to realize it is work. Or it's those two things and they feel like, okay, donors, where are we going to get our money? Because we have to think about it, as you said, through the larger system that opera is working within. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In Canada, it's I think it's nonprofit or something. It's wild to me. I'm just like, so opera, COC, y'all get all your money just as like charitable, just donations. Like that's how we're doing things. Even though entertainment is what people have relied on the most for this pandemic, y'all don't want to pay people. I find it funny. Like, I'm just like, so I understand, like, you have to think about all of these things, but in my mind, and this is why I felt like as well proud to start Marigold Music Program, because I'm just like, listen, I can sit here all day long and complain about this stuff, or I can do something. And so I'm not a kind of person that'll just talk the talk. I will also walk the walk. Mm-hmm. And it has been difficult. I'm not going to lie. Like, we've definitely had a smoother transition into things than I think a lot of other people starting nonprofits during this time, for sure. But it's still been hard. There are days where we look at each other and we're like, why? Why? I don't want to do this. Like, there are so many days that we do that. But because our Band-Aid is that everything that we do is fully funded. Mm-hmm. So anyone that participates, you don't got to pay anything.
Wow.
And that's something that I was like, I refuse. Like, we were like, what if we make blah, blah, blah? And I was just like, no, we cannot make people pay for anything. If we want to remove any sort of barrier to access, that will be it. So if it means we have to cut back on what we do, fine. Mm. But
what is your organization again? Speak about
the Marigold Music Program.
And what does it do?
So we are a group of young professionals. I run this with Kevin Mulligan and Charlotte Siegel, and we're just trying to change the accessibility gap. We're trying to close that gap for younger marginalized singers, not just singers, but younger musicians especially. And so y'all can check us out, marigoldmusicprogram.com, or, you know, follow us on Instagram. But yeah, our whole thing is about making sure that we operate our programs so that they're fully funded. We're doing everything that we can to make sure that we give young people agency and permission. Our motto is a place for everyone to flourish, because too many programs, too many institutions operate under this one size fits all vibe. And that doesn't work for everyone. So what we try to do, like, we're launching our summer program at the end of the summer. And so the main part of it is that it is student centered. So after people apply is when we go, okay, what are their interests? What is the bulk of their interest? What faculty can we get to cater to their interests? Mm-hmm. We are here to serve you. That's it. This isn't about us.
Wow.
And that's our whole mission. And we're not established 40, 50 something year olds that have been doing this forever. I'm the eldest one out of all of us. Kevin and Charlotte are 25. I'm 28. Like, and we have mentors. We have grown-ups in the room that are guiding us through this process because we need help, of course. So we're working with Richard Marcello, who is the executive director of the Regent Park School of Music. We're working with Tyler Greenleaf, who works at the University of Toronto, and Bina John, who works at the University of Toronto. And on top of doing that, we also have been planning an entire course curriculum because Bina was like, here's one of my classes. You can have it, and then we'll figure out what to do. And so through that, we basically created this curriculum that's trying to teach these young musicians, okay, we can work on anti-oppression work. We can train you on social emotional learning as best as possible, all of these things. And then hopefully what we'll be able to do from that is either work with the Regent Park School of Music or go into another school, Toronto, depending on how things work. Applications are still pending, and go into those classrooms and work with teachers, but work with them through this mindset that you've already been trained to do it. Civic engagement and community. That's what it's about too, you know? And so I really want to encourage younger people that are frustrated maybe that older people aren't doing enough. Fair, okay. That's okay to be frustrated. I get it. But try your best to do your own thing then. Because it's got to start somewhere. We can't depend on other people to fix the things, even though we want to, you know? It's like you wishing that your parents would have just raised you better or were there for you more. And it's like, well, it already happened. Like you can't do anything. You just kind of have to go forward.
Yes.
That's my whole thing about it, you know?
Yes. Yes. That's fantastic advice. And I do believe in this time that there are quite a few younger artists who are shaping their future, you know, or what they want it to look like. And and I applaud them. I don't always agree, but with some of the tactics, as one says, you know, but it's not a criticism. It's just, I would do it different. I would do it different. You know what I mean? But I still support, you know, like, go forth, do the thing, you know, get, because it is your future that you're fighting for. It's not, you know, I mean, it's our future, but it more is, you know, people who are coming behind me. It is your future. You deserve to have it the way that you want it to be. And so I want to take some questions. And it's just great question. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat and share this, because this is a very important conversation that we're having. We're hitting so many points and so many things happening, but I please share this and put some questions in the comment section. Dave says, how do we feel that people should have the right to not engage in activism?
I mean, yeah, like, you know, I'm not in the business of telling anyone how they're supposed to live their lives. Like, that's not my, like, if I'm going to fight for everyone to free to be you and me, then free to be you and me means free to not do stuff if you don't want to, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's sad when people don't at times, and I don't mean that, because I think people have this view of activism, and I'm like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to look the same for you. It can just, everything's relative, you know? So I don't know. In my mind, I think some people, it's a privilege to be able to opt out of it. I think to check out is definitely a privilege to be able to do that and to reap the benefits of the hard work that other people have had to do. And if you want to be that person in the group project, then you're more than welcome to. But I don't know. You're so funny.
My regulars know what that is. That long term.
I'm like, if you want to be that person in the group project, that's totally fine. But like, I would just implore you to consider why you want to opt out. And there are times where you can check out, for sure. I don't think everyone needs to be on 100 every day, all day. It's exhausting. But if somebody is not wanting to, thanks, Joel. Oh, hey, Joel.
He's been on here. He gave us a couple shout outs. Yeah.
If somebody, I couldn't see it that well, actually. But if somebody wants to take some time out, that's cool too. But I just think, consider, I always ask people to just question their motives in themselves, you know? You know?
Yeah. Can young artists from the US be part of the Marigold Music Program located in Canada? Thank you, Bill.
Oh,
Williams.
true. We haven't even thought of that.
Maybe we create a U.S. chapter.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to talk to my colleagues. I don't even, when you don't even think, like, because it's so small, you're like, oh, I don't think people will. Yeah. Like, okay.
Those stinky Americans that have, that aren't quarantined. This is my brilliant friend, Brad. You guys definitely need to connect. Please, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be interesting. So as we are wrapping up, we have been almost an hour and a half almost, and I could talk to you forever. And of course I have tons more questions, but I want you to share with it's something funny, something whatever it is, like what's on your heart, that you wanna share with this audience.
Oh my God. Okay. So yesterday when I was on the gram, one of my friends had posted this video, and it was this young man in a Lamborghini, and it was like always his dream, I guess, to ride in a Lamborghini. And so he's just really excited and is like laughing a lot and doing this stuff. And I don't know. I think he was visibly disabled, but I don't know. Like I hope I'm not saying this incorrectly. Someone please correct me. But the guy driving, at first the caption says that it seems like the guy driving seemed annoyed, but he's actually like holding back tears because the guy that's really excited is like, oh my God, whoa, he's freaking out. And he's like, I'm so sorry. Like, please, he says, please don't be scared of me. I just get really excited. When I get really excited, I laugh a lot and I scream a lot or whatever. And when I tell you, I was bawling, I shed some thug ass tears for like 15 minutes. I was just in my room like, I can't people just be nicer to people because it would just make the world right. Like I was crying. So, and it got me thinking about how it doesn't take that much to make someone that interacts with you feel good. I think a lot of us underestimate the impact we have on other people because we think we're insignificant. Mm-hmm. And so what I would want to say is like a final thing is just, you are more significant and you matter way more than you think you do. And therefore the way you interact with people matters a lot, even if you don't think it does. And there's so many ways, big and small, that you can help lift someone up or make someone just feel even a little bit better. Mm-hmm. just by thinking that, just by thinking in that way. So I don't know. Yeah. It's cheesy, but that's I'm all feelings all the time, and I just want people to be nicer to each other.
No, we forget that part because we're so self-absorbed and thinking I don't have enough. I'm not enough, mm-hmm. And mm-hmm. And sometimes just being present, being there, a smile or whatever it is just some awesome people need.
You don't know what it can do for people.
No, and especially depending on what's on my plate, in my mind, I try to always be respectful and cognizant and warm in every situation that I'm in. But, sometimes when you have things on your heart, on your mind, on your spirit, and I've learned that, people are carrying all kinds of shit. And sometimes it ain't about you.
Almost 98% of the time it's not.
Exactly. And so if someone's you're an asshole, you just be who you are and don't take whatever that is and just leaving it where it is something that I've learned to do. And because I am sensitive, I am, I'm a Virgo, like, we're tough, but we take things in. But anyway, it ain't about me. Thank you, Khadija. How can we stay connected to you?
My Instagram is just my first and last name. It's Khadija.Mbowe. I have a TikTok, but I don't really use it that regularly. It's kind of just where I like shit post and stuff, but you can follow it. It's Khadija on Mustard. See what I did there? Not with the name my parents gave me, not with this ancestral name. Yeah. Also, my YouTube is just my first and last name. And go check out the Marigold Music Program's website. See some of the stuff that we're doing. It's slowly happening, but it's also happening really fast. if there are any accountants out there. Well, I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm self-employed now.
You ask for what you need on this show because magically sometimes people give you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Khadija, you have to come back. You have to come back. And I invite everybody back, but you have to come back when there's a hot topic.
Oh, yes, let's do it. Ooh.
Let's do it. Yes, Paula, you're very welcome. Anyway, good night, everyone. Convos will be consistent for the for the next few weeks. We have some amazing guests coming on over the next several weeks, so stay tuned. I'm so excited. And we'll be back same time next week, next Thursday. And again, thank you, Khadija. Please go out and support her channels and support all the work that she's doing. Connect with her. And I love you all. It's so great to see you. Don't leave, Khadija. Good night. I'm ending the broadcast. I love y'all. Missed you guys so much. Take care. Bye.